It was a Tuesday. Emma was sipping her morning coffee in her small farmhouse in rural Los Angeles. The air was dry and uncomfortable, as it had been for weeks. The pastures that stretched as far as the eye could see had been parched and dry over the summer. But Emma was used to the sight. It was the price of living in California. That morning, a faint smell of smoke in the distance caught her attention. Squinting, she looked out from the porch where she was sitting. On the horizon, at the foot of the mountain, a thin line of smoke rose. Another campfire, Emma thought. But this time her anxiety grew. Less than an hour had passed before the wind picked up and the smoke grew thicker. Now the smell was unbearable. Emma's dog, Max, began to bark harshly. An emergency alert on her phone turned her fear into reality. Danger of wildfire. Evacuate area. Emma hurriedly packed a few things. Family photos, some clothes and water bottles. She had no more time. As she jumped into her car and sped down the dusty road, she saw fire trucks amidst flashing sirens. The fire was growing at an incredible rate. The dry grass and the wind were creating a path for the flames. Emma saw wave after wave of flames coming down the hill. The roar of the fire was terrible, like a monster devouring everything in its path. My whole life is here, Emma thought as she took one last look at the house she had left behind. At that moment, a sense of loss washed over her. She had lived here since she was a child, and she was about to lose the land her family had worked for so many years. When she arrived at the evacuation centre, people were filled with despair and fear. A little boy was crying and hugging his mother. A man was on the phone watching his house burn. The fire was destroying not only homes, but people's memories, roots and hopes. The next day, the fire was under control, but a black wreck remained. Emma returned home to find that there was nothing. Her little porch, the garden where she had played as a child, the flowers her mother had planted. It was all reduced to ashes, but Emma did not give up. After this disaster, the community became even more united. People began to help each other. New hope was born. When Emma learned the causes of the fire, she became angry again. Poor maintenance of power lines, human negligence and bad decisions. It was all at the root of a preventable disaster. The California wildfires. Dozens of lives lost, thousands of acres destroyed, and billions of dollars in damage. But who is behind this catastrophe? Did nature really start the fires, or was the hand of man at work? Is the state responsible, or is it a chain of negligence? As we seek answers to these questions, we will try to understand the impact of human error on nature. Did the fire really start spontaneously? Some people say that fires are a natural process. But was it nature's doing that brought us this disaster in California? Experts say a spark from old power lines was responsible for starting the fire. So, are the electricity companies responsible? Or is it the state's lack of supervision? 2. Did the state ignore the fire? During the fire, many people ask the following question: why didn't the state take action sooner? The truth is that inadequate infrastructure and neglected regulations paved the way for this disaster to grow. For example, it has been known for years that the lines of electricity companies needed to be modernised, and now we have a chance to make that happen. The state's duty is to recognise such risks in advance and find solutions. And that's just what we're doing. There was no willful negligence on the part of the state here. The problem was the inability to solve infrastructure problems that had accumulated over many years. Could the disaster have been prevented? Absolutely. How could this fire have been prevented? Had the power lines been modernised, the fire could have been prevented before it started. With the latest early warning systems and top-notch fire brigade equipment, the fire could have been contained before it got out of hand. Had we taken preventive steps against natural factors such as drought, we could have minimised the risks. While these measures were not taken in time, there's always room for improvement, and we can learn from these mistakes to make our communities safer in the future. 4. Consequences of fire. The California wildfires represent much more than a natural event. Environmental devastation: 34,000 acres burned, hundreds of animal species lost their habitat. Economic damage: billions of dollars in losses, destruction of farms, homes and businesses. Impact on people: 11 lives were lost, hundreds were injured, and thousands are working hard to rebuild their lives. 5. Is the state really to blame? While there have been some conspiracy theories such as, did the state deliberately fail to take precautions? Or did it start the fire deliberately? These do not reflect reality. The real problem was the accumulation of negligence over many years and inadequacies in risk management. Even where there was state negligence, it was due to systemic deficiencies, not intentional. This is a valuable lesson for all of us to learn from. Conclusion. The California fires are a testament to how human error can lead to a natural disaster. But let's not forget that this disaster could have been prevented with the right precautions. Let's ask the right questions, find the right answers, and take action to prevent such events in the future.